talk all about manatees, my favorite. As a born and raised native Floridian, when I think of wintertime, I think of manatee season, and it's something that I look forward to all year round, and I'm so thankful to just have grown up learning about them and falling in love with them. They're such special creatures, so incredibly gentle yet strong, and I just find them so fascinating. So I want to share a bit about them and then also share some of my favorite spots throughout the state where you can admire them at their springs and sanctuaries. And I basically just want to take this time to gush about them. So I hope you enjoy. Manatees are highly sensitive to the cold, making their winter migration essential for their survival. And what's so special about the springs, the natural springs we have here in Florida, is that they stay at a constant temperature of around 72 degrees Fahrenheit all year round. And manatee season in Florida runs from late November all the way to the end of March, which of course you can stumble upon some manatees all year round, but that's when you really see them congregating into the springs to stay warm in the winter months. I know people travel all throughout the world to come see the manatees, and I definitely think it's worth the trip because if it's like alligators and gators here in Florida, we just see them. Like, I have a lake near me, I can just walk a couple minutes and see alligators. Like, without a doubt, I know I'll see alligators. And that's kind of how it is with manatees this time of year at the springs, is it's pretty guaranteed that you will be able to witness them. Some of the best days to go view and admire the manatees are during those cold snaps we have in Florida. That's typically when you'll see hundreds and hundreds of manatees come gather into the springs. One of our favorite places to go and view and enjoy the manatees is Blue Springs State Park. It is absolutely beautiful, and it has become a tradition for our family to visit every winter, and this year we visited a couple times, and never enough. I could go once a week truly, but it's really special because it's a state park, so there's various boardwalks where you can walk around and view the manatees. There's picnic tables, a playground, so you really could make it a whole day affair, pack a picnic, just enjoy the park all day long. It's also dog friendly, which I really love. We've taken our puppy multiple times to visit the manatees, so it's fun to bring the whole family, but it's a beautiful, beautiful park. And something fun about them, you'll have to check them out on their website and Facebook if you do plan to visit the manatees soon, because they have various events. They even have after hours events where you can listen to the manatees at night, because the sound of them breathing and just the serene calmness of the springs in the evening is really, really lovely. We actually visited a few weeks ago during a cold front, and we ended up going about an hour before park close, which was insanely peaceful. It was very quiet. Throughout the day, they were actually maybe not reaching capacity, but they had long lines, and this was a weekday. So that's also something to know, is during the winter months, if you are hoping and planning to visit the manatees, I would recommend going early, especially if you plan to visit on a weekend, because it is very popular, rightfully so. And you can always call ahead of time to see if they're at capacity or see how long the line is to get in. But thankfully, going about an hour before close, it was a smooth sail right into the park, and it was so peaceful. Like I said, something I will say though, I love when there is direct sunlight on the springs, because you can really see that crystal clear water, and it's just beautiful when it glistens in the sunlight. So we didn't really have that as much, but the way the sun was setting and shining on the Spanish moss hanging from the surrounding oaks was, again, so beautiful. And that day there were over 900 manatees visiting the spring, so we just saw countless manatees and so many babies. It was really special. Manatees are mammals, and one of my absolute favorite characteristics about them is that they are amazing mothers. They actually stay with their young for around 2 years typically, which is a pretty long range for wild animals. And their calves typically nurse for 1 to 2 years as well. The dads aren't very present, but the mama manatees are rocking and rolling with it, so you can't win them all. Manatees are actually semi-solitary, so the only long-lasting relationship they have socially is between the mother and her calf. And one of the sweetest things is they will even adopt orphaned manatees and nurse them just like their own, and that is so crucial for their population that they're able to do that, because of course there are lots of threats to manatees, none of them being other wild animals, all of them being due to people, unfortunately. Motorboats are a huge issue when it comes to trying to protect the manatees, and sadly, whenever you go to view them, you'll notice almost all of them have scratches and scars on their back from motorboats. Thankfully, there's been a lot more awareness, and I'm hopeful that everyone will continue to be more careful and mindful about the manatees whenever they are boating. It's a tale as old as time, trying to figure out how to combine human recreation with preserving and maintaining these beautiful, pure waters. So that's one of the biggest threats that they face. Manatees typically are in shallower waters because that's where the seagrass grows, because the light can permeate through the water and grow that beautiful, nutritious seagrass for them. And even though the manatees spend a lot of time at the springs during the winter months, it's sort of their home that they commute to each and every day, because a lot of their food isn't available in the springs. It's more in the brackish, salty water where the seaweed will grow that they love to eat. So they will swim out to go eat, get their meals for the day, and then they'll come and warm up at the springs whenever they get the chance. Three Sisters Springs is also another beautifully glorious place to view the manatees. Unlike Blue Springs, Three Sisters Springs is not a state park. It is actually a unit of the Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge, which is managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So a little note, if you have a national park pass, be sure to bring it for a $5 discount. I'm not sure how often they changed their prices and if they fluctuate or not, but I did get a discount on this day because I have the park pass. Both Blue Springs and Three Sisters Springs is closed for swimming and various water activities during the winter months, because they truly are committed to making this a winter sanctuary for the manatees and want to make sure their safety is top priority. So I really appreciate that. Of course, manatees are swimming in and out of the sanctuary to get some food and explore. And when I visited a couple weeks ago, I went around 8:30 a.m. and it was stunning. The way the sun was shining on the spring water, and it was one of those cold days, so there were hundreds and hundreds of manatees. And that's one of my biggest tips, is to try to plan your manatee visit around a cold snap, because again, they need the warm water to survive. So of course, there's naturally going to be more manatees congregated there. Of course, it's the wild, so you can never say for sure, but it's your best bet to visit on a colder day. One thing to note about Three Sisters Springs is that it is not dog friendly, and there isn't any parking right near the springs besides handicap parking. And then they do offer a shuttle that runs about every 30 minutes and drops you off right directly at the springs, or you can walk. There's a few different paths that you can stroll onto, and I opted to walk because I like to kind of stop whenever I see something that I want to take in and capture pictures and videos. So it was a lovely walk, but I will say Blue Springs is probably a bit more convenient if you are planning to bring a picnic and have a whole family day, because you can park a lot closer to the spring. And what's interesting about manatees is that even though they are quite large, they are true tropical animals with little body fat to insulate them. They actually have a ginormous gut and 20-foot long digestive tract because they eat so much seagrass. They need a big gut to process all of that seagrass and plants. Basically, they spend their days resting, traveling, eating, and sleeping. Sounds pretty fabulous. And you would think that since they're such large animals, they probably can't move that quickly, but you'd be surprised. They can actually swim up to 20 miles per hour, but they only do this if feel they're in danger or if they're frightened. They typically cruise around 5 miles per hour, so they like to take things slow, which is a good reminder. We should look to them for some slow living inspiration. Manatees are also quite muscular and have dense bones, and they typically weigh anywhere from around 900 to 1,200 pounds. And the springs aren't the only place that manatees migrate to this time of year. They also find warm water refuge at power plants throughout the state. I have some precious memories with my Grammy. We would go to the power plant in Tampa during the winter to see the manatees congregate there and cozy up, and it's a whole other conversation because currently it's estimated that around 66% of the manatee population rely on those artificial warm water sources for their winter survival, which is certainly a concern because the power plants are probably going to begin to go into retirement and they're not going to be as prevalent. There's a lot of conversation about that, and of course an initiative to make sure that if those sources are dwindling, that manatees are going to be able to navigate to the natural springs easier, because there used to be a lot more access to the springs for the manatees, but of course with the human population and all of the development and pollution and all of that, that has also dwindled. So that's a whole other tangent, but I do find it very interesting, and you can learn so much about manatees at savethemanatees.org. They also have live streams at the different springs, so you can see live footage of the manatees both underwater and above water, so that's really fun to check out. My friend Faith and I actually went snorkeling at Crystal River last week, and we were so incredibly thankful and in awe to see some manatees as we were snorkeling. It is actually illegal to touch wild manatees in Florida or harass them in any way, so that's something to take very, very seriously if you do end up snorkeling near where manatees might be swimming about. So passive observation is the key to having a beautiful experience snorkeling near manatees, and even though you're not able to touch them, they're able to touch you if they please. And so we were incredibly thankful that they were curious enough to come give us a sniff, give us a little cuddle. It was just, again, remarkable, and we're so thankful. And basically, when you are snorkeling near manatees and you're hoping to have them swim near you, you certainly want to be as peaceful and calm as possible, because that's the energy they bring, so you want to bring that energy too. And you'll want to have a floating device so that you're essentially just floating there and not splashing your arms or legs in any ways, because that will most likely spook them. So you take a little pool noodle or something, your snorkel, you're just chilling in the water, hoping for some manatees to swim by. And again, we went on a colder day, so we were very fortunate to have those experiences. But any encounter like that with a wild animal is so humbling to me, and I'm just left in awe that these creatures exist and that they're so gentle yet strong, and it's very special. Those are a few of my favorite places to enjoy and admire the manatees this time of year, but we have about a month left of manatee season, so maybe we'll try to go visit another spot. But thank you so much for watching this video and listening to me gush about manatees. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your winter season, whether you're trying to stay warm in the springs like the manatees or you're stuck in a bunch of snow. I hope we can all make the most of it. But thank you again for watching. I hope you are well, and I'm excited to see you next. Bye!